Now, in Liberty and Tyranny, in a chapter I called Envirostatism, I wrote a lot, but among other things, I provide a list. I provide a list that was put together by Dr. John Brignell, a retired professor of industrial instrumentation at the University of Southampton in Britain. He composed a list of alarmist claims and news reports that man-made global warming causes or has caused. I can't read them all, as you can see, but let me show you what I'm reading from. See? I had to tighten the fonts up for this. That's 2 pages, but that's not it. There's more. There's more. Now, what has global warming caused, or what has been caused by global warming? Just listen to a little of this. There are hundreds of them, and they're in alphabetical order. These are from news reports. Acne, agricultural land increase, Afghan poppies destroyed, African devastation, African aid threatened, African conflict, aggressive weeds, air pressure changes, Alaska reshaped, allergies increased, Alps melting, Amazon a desert, American dream ends, amphibians breeding earlier, amphibians not breeding. Let's see what else here. Ancient forests dramatically changed. Animals head for the hills. Antarctica ice grows. Antarctica ice shrinks. Antarctic sea life at risk. Anxiety treatment. Algae blooms. Archaeological, the font is so tight, I'm having trouble reading. That's so many items in here. Let's see here. Arctic bogs melt. Arctic in bloom. Arctic ice freezes. Arctic lakes disappear. Arctic tundra to burn. Atlantic less salty, Atlantic more salty, atmospheric circulation modified, attack of the killer jellyfish, avalanches reduced, avalanches increased, Baghdad snow, Bahrain underwater, bananas grow, beer shortages, beetle infestation, better beer, big melt faster, billion-dollar research project, on and on and on and on. Again, this is from, let's see, when did this book come out? 8 years ago? 9 years ago? The list is triple this now. So you put this list together, man-made global warming causes or has caused. So hysterical, so completely outrageous. What is this really all about? Why such a push? Well, what was the progressive income tax all about? Was it about raising taxes to fund the proper functions of government? No. It was about redistribution of wealth and empowering the federal government to determine who gets what, and to collect all kinds of data on individuals who, prior to that, didn't have to provide all kinds of data to the federal government. What's Obamacare about? Is it about providing the best health care to the most people possible? Of course not. Is that what it's doing? It's about redistributing wealth and government control over your health, over your body and your psychology and so forth, mental health, deciding who gets what. This is the Progressive Act. This is statism. This is centralization of government. This is anti-constitutionalism. What's global cooling, global warming, and now they've settled on climate change because it covers all the bases. What's that all about? It's about an attack on capitalism. And it's even worse than all the rest, because it involves the air, it involves the water. In other words, it involves your sustenance, your survival, your quality of life. And if the government can manage that and control that, then what can it manage and control? Even worse, under this so-called Paris deal that violates our Constitution, because it wasn't presented to the Senate, it wouldn't have passed the Senate. It would have been voted on by 2/3 of the senators present. So Obama didn't submit it. He cuts his own deal, side deal. And that's bad enough. But the point is, what's it all about? We would be conferring our sovereignty, our national sovereignty, to international organizations. We would not only be doing that, but we'd be paying hundreds of billions of dollars to other countries and other entities for the right of conferring our sovereignty to them. This is a direct assault on our economic, cultural, societal system. So when you hear Al Gore, or when you hear Schwarzenegger, or Mitt Romney yesterday tweeting away and going on about we shouldn't pull out of the deal and so forth. And you hear Republicans saying this. They don't even comprehend what's going on. They don't even comprehend what's going on. There's a leftist by the name of Naomi Klein. Most of you haven't heard of her unless you've read my books. Naomi Klein says climate activists need to get comfortable attacking capitalism. Now, for her, as for all the leaders of this movement, it's a red movement that pretends to be a green movement. Understand what I'm saying. This is a degrowth movement. It is an attack on Americans' industrial heartland. It's an attack on your way of life, on our lifestyle, on our material well-being. It's a frontal assault on capitalism. She's one of the leaders of the movement, one of the so-called intellectual leaders of the left. To me, it's an oxymoron, but there you go. I want you to hear from her in an interview that took place October 9, 2014, which I put in Plunder and Deceit, okay? Listen to the beginning of this, at least, and listen very carefully, because you may miss some of the things that they discuss going back and forth. And look at these two nobodies, from my perspective, who know nothing. Look how they talk with each other and how they want to move us around like they're chess pieces on a chessboard. Go ahead.
So why capitalism and not extractivism, I guess, is what you call it?
I mean, I'm using capitalism as the stand-in for an economic system which has a name, you know? So I'm talking about real-world capitalism, not, you know, idealized capitalism,
right,
but what we actually have. And I get frustrated when people say, like, the economy, because I feel like they're doing that because they don't want to say capitalism. I mean, there's this thing about not saying capitalism. It is this word that people get really worked up about, and I never know whether that's the reason not to use it or a reason to use it. And I also think that capitalism increasingly is a discredited system because it is seen as a system that venerates greed above all else. So I think that there is a benefit to the climate discussion to name a system that lots of people already have a problem with for other reasons. So that's, you know, those are some of the pros. But I mean, I know there are cons because I'm living them, you know, getting lost in the weeds over people who don't read anything but titles. So that sort of sucks.
I read the book. Generally, when people hear capitalism attacked, they think, well, the alternative is socialism, right? I mean, this is sort of the weird constricting spectrum that we're expected to be on. So, and if you read the book, it's not socialism that you're advocating, really, but sort of more highly regulated capitalism. I mean, do you think that's fair?
Have you ever seen a more boring interview, by the way? I just want you to get the content out of this, because you're smart. Listen to what they say, but they go to no expense to have fake plants right next to them. It's monotonous, but it's important. So bear with me. Go ahead.
I think we can get lost in the labels, and I think at a certain point you regulate the system so much, or you change it so much that maybe it needs another term. And I don't know why it's so important to save capitalism. You know, I mean, it is a pretty battered brand. I do think that it is.
Who is this dork, by the way? Unbelievable. But look how these two knuckleheads have all the ideas. So far, capitalism sucks. And I look at her clothing, and I think to myself, where do you think you got that from? But of course, that doesn't mean you support socialism, just lots of taxes and regulations, lots of control. You know, it's such a battered brand. Such a battered brand, let's just keep it there, don't move it. Such a battered brand, I said this the other day, such a battered brand, really? We live like kings and queens here. Even the worst among us live like kings and queens. You can get up at 3 in the morning, as I've explained. You can go to a 7-Eleven. You can get milk. You can get eggs. You can get bread. You can get soda. You can get candy. You can fill up your car. You can get cigarettes. Well, maybe not, but you understand what I mean. Or you can go to a major supermarket. You get wines from all over the country, all over the world, different types of beef, different prices of beef, different cuts of beef, different cuts of fowl, all kinds of selections of fish. You get food, deli meats cut up and packaged, kosher, not kosher, healthy, not healthy. All kinds of milk, fat-free milk, 0.5% milk, 1% milk, 1.5% milk, 2% milk, whole milk, pasteurized, not pasteurized. You can get eggs. Medium, large, extra large eggs. Wow. You can get butter, you can get margarine. You can get butter with milk, you can get butter that's lactose-free. You can get all kinds of cheeses. You can get cheese sticks, string cheese like this, cheese like this, cheese like this. Unbelievable. Then you go into the bakery, 10 types of baked breads, fresh, 20 different types of donuts. You go in there, you get what you want. And I'm not even done. You can get apples, you can get pears, you can get bananas, you can get strawberries, you can get raspberries, you can get limes and lemons, and on and on and on. Anybody can get this. Access to something that mankind's never seen before. Thanks to capitalism, thanks to free markets, thanks to private property rights, thanks to our Republican form of government. And they go there that capitalism is a battered brand? Are they kidding me?